Edlar was smart, and Edlar was mad, and for most of his life, Edlar was sad. But for just one brief day, he was for once more than okay. And above all this, Edlar was a scientist. He lived in a house on top of a hill in a town called Thumpersville. There he felt excluded, for the town was deluded, always talking of sin, like they knew anything. So he hid away in the top of his tower, inventing machines hour by hour. Yet despite all his junk, his mood was still sunk. Despite all his stuff, it wasn't enough. So he went to the graves beneath the church steeple. But this wasn't a place for burying people. So he dug and he dug and he dug and he dug. Cats and rats and also some dogs, hares and bears and occasionally frogs. He took the parts back to his house, sewing together cat, dog and mouse. He closed his eyes, threw down a switch. It all worked precisely, not even a glitch. There before him he'd created life, also unwittingly trouble and strife. He played with his pet all through the night, just so happy that he'd gotten it right. Here he had just the right blend for making a friend. And at the end of the night he called his pet Star, because at the end of the day, that's what pets are. The very next day, Father McLaren found all the graves empty and barren. All the graves suddenly vacant, pointed to a theft rather blatant. He gathered the town and told them the news. They filled with rage and followed the clues. Up the hill to our protagonist. Up the hill came our antagonist. They burst into the house and found it bizarre. Moments later they found Edlar. McLaren had found his sinner. And then he saw Star eating dinner. Edlar cried and tried to explain. This pet had a heart and even a brain. McLaren just would not hear it. New and different, he had to fear it. Clearly this wasn't just a dog. Clearly this was an affront to God. This was it. Edlar was sprung. For his crimes, Edlar was hung. But before he met his end, he managed to free his friend. Despite himself, Edlar smiled as he released Star into the wild. Edlar was smart, and Edlar was mad, and for most of his life Edlar was sad. But for just one brief day, he was for once more than okay. And above all this, Edlar was a scientist.